All right, well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me once again. I am loving spending this time with you every week. And this week, I have one of my favorite people in the world as my guest. And
Wow.
we are going to have some fun today. I mean, if you know Katie and if you know me, you know that we both really love to laugh. So
Yeah.
we're going to try and laugh a lot today, but we're also going to try and teach you a few things. We're going to have a really candid conversation about accountability plans, which accountability is kind of a bit of a dirty word, right? Like people are just like, I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I want it. But before we get started, I would love to introduce you to my guest and let you, Katie, let you introduce yourself a little bit to all of our lovely attendees today. So take it away.
Thank you so much, Val. It's pretty cool, pretty fun to be doing this with you. Things I know when I'm going to be on a gig with you, it's going to go smoothly. It's going to be full of really good stuff, and there's going to be really good attendees. And I can already tell because I can see many of you who are on here, and I'm very excited to be with you. So I am Katie Clancy. I am the happiest person in real estate, and I invite you to fight me for the title. All right. I'm also the chief house hawker at the Cape House at William Ravis on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, where I lead the top producing team on Cape Cod for William Ravis.
Awesome. And Cape Cod is such a beautiful place. And this time of year, especially amazing.
Yeah, it's actually quite awesome. I've got the window open. You know, we're getting good foliage. We're getting that like second summer situation. It's quite nice.
Love it. Well, I'm supposed to get snow this weekend, so I'm a little jealous of the second summer situation.
Yeah,
We're not
yeah,
there.
you should be.
All right, so we're going to jump in with a little bit of a story as we get started as to why we're calling this session Get Off the Treadmill. So I teased this a bit on Facebook yesterday. I said, "Have you ever joined a gym and then like never gone to the gym?" Me.
Yes,
I was
yes, I
telling
have.
I was telling Katie earlier, like once I joined a gym and I packed a gym bag with like shoes and the padlock for the locker and the whole thing, and I still have the bag packed and I never went to the gym, not once. And I've moved 4 times since then and the bag just
True confessions here.
I
That
know
is
it's
some.
terrible. But also once I did join a gym and I went to the gym and like most people, it was super intimidating. Like there was all these machines and all these people that are like pumping, and whatever. And I didn't know how to use anything. So I just got on the treadmill, right? I just set it to like level 5 and I just did the whole like walk on the treadmill for a while and then that was it. And I feel like that's what a lot of people do at the gyms. They just kind of like pick the thing that feels comfortable and they feel like they're doing something and then they just kind of do it. But imagine if like we get on the treadmill in our business and we just kind of do the same slog, like forever and ever. We do the same stuff and we just kind of keep the same pace. What are the results of that? Like the results of that are kind of like, A, you're never challenging yourself, but B, you're not growing.
You
Like
get really good at slogging.
yes,
Expert
like
slogger.
amazing at slogging. Like we'll get t-shirts like chief slogger. But the thing is like, that's not the goal. Like ultimately that wasn't the goal in me joining the gym, was just to like have a slog. And that wasn't my goal in starting a business. I'm sure that wasn't your goal in starting a business.
Oh, mine? God, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm in it to win it.
So if that's the situation that most of us find ourselves in at the gym and in our business, today we really want to talk about some ways to help you get off the treadmill and really start seeing the results that you want to see. And what I love about this, Katie, that we're having this conversation in mid-October is it is peak planning season. This is the time where people start business planning, figuring out, like what is next year going to look like? Hopefully not like this year.
What's next week gonna look like?
But like
What?
optimistically planning, and we want to get you off the
Yes.
treadmill. So we've got a ton of people on here. So we want to ask you a question before we get started here. I'm going to launch a poll. There's 2 questions in that poll. And I want all of you lovely people to just click on that little poll option at the top of your screen and answer these 2 questions. 1, how do you feel about accountability? And 2, where could you use some help? So I'm going to ask you, Katie, how do you feel about accountability?
Well, so accountability in the traditional sense, when you say that word, I bristle because it makes me feel like someone's going to be the boss of me and tell me what to do. And I'm the boss of me. You're not the boss of me. So that's my first like old wounded association with accountability. But I have grown up and I have a much more mature perspective on accountability now. And now I kind of get excited about it because I have systems and tools in place where accountability is kind of fun, because it's more, so we're going to take this like fitness gym thing. I'm gonna probably will go way too far with it, but I love a game. I love a little competition with myself, I guess, where like I set out, I'm gonna do 3 things in a day. If I do them, I'm like, it's like this is actually something that I do when I'll write down the things that I'm gonna do in pencil, and then I cross them off in pen because I dominate it. So that's how I feel about accountability. Now it's kind of fun because I've figured out how to use it for me and not just punish myself with it.
Love that. Well, I'm looking at these responses and we've got tons of them, and far and away, like way above any of the other responses. I'm so excited. People say, I need more of it. That's the number one answer. Some people are saying, I don't like to think about it, or I could go either way, but I need more accountability. So I love it. You guys are our people. You're in the right place. So number 2 question was, where could you use some help? And I mean, we're pretty neck and neck on this one, but for the most part, people are saying they could use some help with staying in touch with people, forming good habits, achieving their goals, and knowing where to start. Which, I mean, I feel like that's all of us, right? Just like, where do I start? I want to achieve my goals. I really need good habits, and I have to stay in touch with my people. That's a really big one. So we've got some like make the calls, use the right tools, convert my leads, and delegate. But lots of good options there and lots of good responses. Everybody sort of pitching in. So thank you so much, first of all, for everybody answering that poll. So let's dive in. I want to start with our first question. What is accountability? For everyone that's saying, I need more of it. Katie, I'm gonna ask you, like, what is accountability to you?
Well, accountability, it's counting, it's checking, it's noting where you're at. It's measuring your plans against your outcomes, against, you know, your results. That's really what it is. And it can look a lot of different ways, but its most basic form, that's all it is. Just taking attendance.
For those of you that are on this call, I'd love it if you jump in chat and tell me what's the first word that comes to mind when you think of accountability. I'd love to see where you guys are at. But, you know, I think when I was thinking about this, I thought, you know, a lot of people think it's a list. Like it's a list of things I have to do that I can cross off. And that's my accountability, is just knowing what I need to do and then doing it. But then I thought a lot of people also think accountability is like somebody telling me what to do, you know, whether that's a boss or, you know, a group of people or a coach or a mentor or whatever. So always interesting to me, like how people kind of define accountability. So I'm seeing a lot of answers here, like a to-do list, a partner, owning my actions. Oh, it's a really good answer. Holding me accountable, tools for success, reporting. That's a good one too, right? Just kind of having an understanding.
Continual reporting. I like continual reporting of progress.
Self-discipline, somebody telling me what to do, reliability, achievement. Good responses.
It's like outing yourself. You know, you're like,
it is a bit.
Now that I put it out there, now I have to do it.
Yeah.
Would I keep myself on payroll based on my actions if I were my own boss? That is
a good answer, Jeffrey. Would I keep myself on payroll if I was my own boss? So a lot of a lot of owning, a lot of like understanding where I'm at, where I need to go, and like having the accountability to get there and actually take those steps. So those are all really good answers. And I think that's so true. I mean, we all have a little bit of our own definition of what that looks like for ourselves in our own businesses. You know, for me, I've been all three. I've been an employee, I've been a boss, and I've been like a solo entrepreneur. And accountability has looked different in each one of those phases for me. But by far, when I was on my own, like, and accountable to no one, like nobody would know if I just like stayed in bed all day. Like that was the hardest, when I had to create accountability systems for myself. And nobody was going to know, and nobody was going to judge me or grade me or fire me. That was definitely the hardest. You know, and I think that that's when it becomes the most important. nobody's telling me what to do. And I'm the only one that's going to have the results if I don't do it. So what do we need accountability for? Let's dig into this one. Like, let's go into the weeds on this one. First of all, like, why would we join a gym? Katie, why would you join a gym?
Because I was fat and out of shape. Why else do you join a gym?
Right, right? Because that's what you do on New Year's. But like, what are you hoping to accomplish? Like, what are the things?
Skinny and fit. Okay,
Yeah.
but the real estate version of fat and out of shape is like underperforming, not hitting your goals, not feeling good, certainly not making enough money, like,
Right.
or the money that you thought you were going to make. So that's the fat and out of shape version of, you know, this state that you get in, and why you go to the gym, and why you look for accountability. And, you know, on the same theme, you need accountability. You go to the gym, as it were, to be, you know, productive, performing at your potential, earning the money that you planned on earning, serving, you know, hitting your goals, feeling good about yourself, all that good stuff, and looking good. You look better when you're performing better.
Yeah.
You know, your whole
Yeah.
picture looks better.
Yeah. I mean, David's in comments saying when your business is out of shape. And I love that. I mean, it's so true. We get to that point and we can feel it, can't we? Like, we can feel when we personally are, you know, like fat and out of shape, but we also, like, we can feel it when our business is fat and out of shape. And when it's, you know, it's eaten a little too many carbs and it's feeling a little bit sluggish, I definitely can feel that in my business. Like, there are a couple of really clear indicators when that's happening in my business. Like, I am losing control of my time management. I'm sort of like sleeping in, you know, trying to keep up with deadlines, letting things fall through the cracks, not being as timely with my responses as I should be. Stuff sits in my email a bit longer. And I feel that, and I know it, like, I can feel it.
Yep.
I feel it in my finances too. Do you
Yeah.
feel it?
So, I mean, it's like, it's basically you're taking the measuring tape. You're like, oh, damn, that's my waist. That snuck up on me. And it happens slowly, but you've got to get out of it, and you've just got to take the steps. So let's get there.
Yeah.
What's this accountability going to be all about?
Well, so definitely let's talk goals for a second, because I know, like, a lot of people are going to be setting goals right now.
Yeah.
And, like, I love this comment Teresa just made in comments. She said, my business is too skinny and I need to gain weight. I mean, that's a really good point too, right? Sometimes we go to the gym because we need to build muscle.
Yep.
And it's so true in our business. Like, sometimes we know, like, we have to put on some weight. Like, we need systems. We need more leads. We need more relationships, that sort of thing. You know, David saying we tend as self-employed people to do what we want, not necessarily what we need to be doing. And that's true when it comes to our goals. Like, even setting goals right now, I'm working with a lot of people who are doing business planning, and their goals are things that they want to do. Like, and I'm like, what? Okay, but also, what do you need to do? Oh yeah. Well, let's just focus on the stuff I really want. Like, yeah, but they go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think sometimes, like, the real estate versions of why we would join the gym are things like conversations, you know, having better relationships with our people, maybe staying in touch longer, maybe nurturing, converting those leads over a long term, is something that we all have to kind of work on. And then, like, tech and innovation, I think, is a big one. Those are all areas where we need to, like, we know we need to put some work in. We know that we need to do some learning, or maybe take a class, but we don't.
Another one, I think, that people neglect a lot, that really makes us suffer, is we don't stay on top of what's going on in the market. We're not educated on our markets. We're not educated on the industry. We stay really hyper focused on this micro, your little island.
Yeah.
And that's no good. You get clumsy, you get thick, you move slowly, you don't know where you fit in the big grand scheme. If you don't have that perspective, you are going to make some poor decisions going forward. You're apt to get caught.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of people on here, and a lot of them have chimed in comments around the same thing. Like, if our business is out of shape, if we're getting a little bit, or, you know, we're skinny, we're chubby, we're, you know, in our business, metaphorically speaking, you know, we know that we need to work a few areas. what is the answer? Like what is the gym answer, Katie? What's the
Well,
exercise answer? And then how do we translate that into real estate?
so is this where we talk about burpees?
This is.
Oh God, I love this part. All right. So Val, little anecdote. So I quit things in 3. So I joined a gym for 3 days, and on the 4th day, I'm just so busy. Or if I stay for the 4th day, it's the 4th week where I'm like, oh my God, my ankle is killing me. Or it's 3 months where I'm like, I just don't have time for this, and my schedule's totally changed. I can't do this anymore. Well, when I started finally working out at a gym where I show up, they tell me exactly what to do, and it's different every day. And we work every different part of our body. We do all these different things. We work on every part of fitness. I have been there for 8 years.
Wow.
8 years. And I am in the best shape of my life. And it's the same thing. So the burpee, who knows what burpees are? I want to hear it. People who know what burpees are, let's just look at the chat for a second.
Yes.
How do you feel about burpees?
Yes. What's the first word that comes to mind when you think of burpees?
They are
Pain.
pain. I did 120 yesterday. Horrific. Yes. Hate. Torture.
Dreadful. Well, I mean, hey, overwhelmingly
Pain,
people are
yuck.
saying,
Oh, dear God,
yuck.
why? Okay. So this was really a visceral response here. So here's the deal, you guys. Do you know the history of the burpee? Why it even exists? So I'm gonna butcher this a little bit, but it was stumbled upon, invented by a guy named Burpee, who was looking for an all-purpose exercise, an exercise that would hit all of the, or hit as many different angles of fitness as possible. It gets power, flexibility, endurance, what else? Strength, all that. Oh, what?
Agility.
Look at that. Strength.
I made a list.
It really
Strength.
does. It hits all of those things. And it is painful. It is hard. They're brutal. In fact, I did a version of a burpee this morning called a devil's press, where you do it holding dumbbells, and you do a burpee, you pick it up, and then you get to swing them up over your head. I said bad words today, but but I did them. Okay. And you know what happens when I do burpees? I get better at all of those things. I get stronger, more flexible, more powerful, more endurance, and more agility. So what we need to figure out in business, what is the burpee of business for you? It's not necessarily going to be the same thing for everybody, but what is the burpee? There might not be something that hits all of them, but in general, right now, we're going to talk a bit about kind of help you come up with what is the burpee for you. Right, Val?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, everyone can look at this list: strength, flexibility, power, endurance, agility, and know that within their business, there's clearly a couple that stand out that they really need to work on. So what we thought would be fun is we both made a list of what we need to work on for each of these areas in business to sort of like get an all-round great workout in our business. And we're going to go back and forth because we haven't shared our answers with each other, and we're going to see if they're different. So I'm going to let you go first on strength. So
Okay.
What would be something that if people are saying like, this is an area that maybe I need to work out in my business, this is something that I need to work on, how do we build strength in our business?
Okay. So strength is the ability to bear weight, to bear like volume, to carry it, lift it up, and move it around. So in your business, that's volume of business. In order to handle, like, let's say you do this massive, really successful marketing campaign, and suddenly you're flooded with business. Are you prepared to handle all of that? So that would be systems in order. Do you have the systems? Do you have the structure, the infrastructure to handle all that? If you don't, then you need to build your strength. You need to build your systems. You need to build some order, some policies, some protocols. That's strength to me.
Okay. I went a totally different direction on this one.
I know.
Which I love that you went that way, because I didn't think about it that way, but now I totally am, like, strength to sort of like handle the pressure and the weight. I went from the perspective of where do I want the strongest part of my business to be? And I went to relationships and people. So for me, I was thinking like, this is an area that I really want to work out in my business and make sure that it's stronger, is really strong relationships with people so that I can continue to get repeat and referral business. So
hmm
not just, we're not competing here. Like we're not scoring these. It's
No,
not me
good
versus,
God, no.
I
We're
think these are
giving a
both
nice
really
broad
valid answers,
answers.
because you're
Yeah,
right. Like systems and process, it does lead to like such inherent strength in your business, and having really good, strong relationships with people, super important. So
absolutely.
feel free to jump in chat, guys, as we go through these, and give us your own answers of like where you think strength would be in your business. Let's talk about flexibility. I'm going to let you go first.
Flexibility. So flexibility is, it's, I think we're probably going to be similar in this one. It's adapting to change. It's also flexibility. If you're working on flexibility, you're going to an uncomfortable place to get more flexible. So going out of your comfort zone, we need flexibility because we cannot control everything. Things will change. We're going to have to contort ourselves to adapt to new things that are coming around. So flexibility is that, adapting to change, and doing so by going out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, agreed. And what do you think is one of the big ways that people could go out of their comfort zone? Like one of the easiest ways?
One of the easiest ways to go out of their comfort zone is to think of something that they really want to have happen in their business. Figure out what is the thing that needs to happen. What do I need to do? So if I want more contacts, if I want a bigger sphere of influence, what do I have to do? You have to make more calls. That is really uncomfortable. It is almost universally, it's kind of the burpee for a lot of people. You've just got to make more calls. And
Yeah.
that's hard and uncomfortable. But I would say most people on this call right now would say, actually, I have made some hard calls that turned out to be awesome. Not all of them, but some of them. And
Yeah.
that's, going out of your comfort zone is worth it.
Yeah. David in chat is saying flexibility to him is when the market changes quickly and you have a plan B already in place. I like that. It's a good answer. And
Yep.
Michelle is saying video messages and calls. Yes.
Doing something new. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flexibility, doing something new, a comfort
Getting
zone.
on camera, that is hard. I very similar. I had the word adapt when it comes to flexibility, but I also had the word diversify. So for me, the idea of creating flexibility in my business is not putting all my eggs in one basket. So allowing myself to market in different ways and try different things, and not be stuck to just the way that I've done it in the past because it worked. One of my favorite quotes is the arrogance of the thing that will hold us back from success in the future is the arrogance of like what has worked before will always work again. And I totally butchered that quote, but you get the idea.
I got the idea.
So like the flexibility for me is that idea of like not just clinging to the way we've always done it.
Yep. So you guys, as you're hearing us talk about these 5 areas, these should be sort of, kind of giving you little impulses of the goals that you want to make for yourself, that you want to be accountable for. And we're going to get into how to make those happen, but these are the areas that you want to create some actions around and get, be accountable for. Okay.
Yeah,
want to go to power?
Yes.
All right. My version of power is leverage and connection. So if you've got for instance, you've got a message that you want to get out, like any message, if you don't have many connections, if you can't leverage a tool or your relationships, you cannot get that. You have no power. You're like, meep. You might have something great to say, but it's like, you've got to have a megaphone. You've got to have a system to get that message out. And so that is where I put relationships. Relationships, not just with your potential clients, but relationships throughout your industry, so that you have the power. You're like, all right, I'm going to do something big. Like I am up to something, like literally I am right now up to something. And I'm going to need my friends. I'm going to need my colleagues and my allies out there in the world to kind of give me a little power to go forward and really do this thing. So that's what I say power is.
I love that idea. Like just, like leaning on people to amplify. And I think that's so important. And I think that's something that agents should be looking at all the time, not just like, what do I want to do, but who can help me make that bigger? Who can help me blow that up? And that fits in really well with what I had for power, which was power is ideas plus implementation. So like there's a lot of power in ideas, but there's more power in actually implementing them, like actually taking action and doing something. So for me, power, the way where I'm looking at sort of working out in my business for the coming year is how do I implement stuff as opposed to just dream it up? Because
Yep.
I'm really good, like I will admit, I'm really good at coming up with big ideas.
Yep.
And I'm really good at like, that would be so much fun and that would be so cool and we could do this and I would love to do that. But then when it comes to implementing, like that is the hard work.
You and Michelle
And
are the same person, by the way.
I
She says so
know.
right now. Yeah.
And well, my problem is not necessarily implementing because I can implement like a boss, but my problem is I want to implement all the things at the same time. All
Yes, yes, yes. Yep.
So sometimes like power is in ideas and discernment and implement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
figuring
yeah.
out like what do you want to do, what can you do, and then like what is actually practical that you can accomplish. And I think that that's really important. I think a lot of times we get stuck in this rut of like, we don't work out this muscle because this is the hard one. Like, how do we
Yep.
amplify? How do we lean
So
on our people? How do we implement?
in
Right?
the gym, you work on power by doing things like jumping. Like you're jumping, you're like having these explosive movements. And so you think about, what would that explosive movement be in my business? Like you might just have to, burst forth and just take action on one of the, just run with it. Like go, let's go,
Yeah.
let's do this. Let's just
Yeah.
go. What do we get for
Yeah.
power and implementing after we get step-by-step action plan? Yes.
Yeah.
Kim says, come up with great ideas, but implement half and then get success and never finish.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that
Yeah.
is where accountability can actually close that loop for you, Kim.
Yeah. And I like Nadia's comment. She had a great mindset change. She started to think, I have solutions to execute, not problems to think about.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
good.
Love.
So good. Very good. Love that. Okay, let's talk endurance because I will tell you that if I look at this whole list, I am definitely like I'm the non-runner. Like I will run if something is chasing me. I'm
Yep.
not the long haul exercise person here. Clearly, given that I have the packed bag in my closet. But like if endurance is an area like me, if you are out there and you are listening and you are thinking, yeah, like the long slog, the long haul in our business is an area that I definitely need to work at. Tell me, what did you have for endurance?
Well, interestingly enough, I didn't put anything for endurance because I put down speed as one of our 5 things. So we're going to cross that one right off. But
I love
now,
that you went to speed and I'm like endurance.
that is funny. So, endurance is
No, tell me
being
what
able.
you had for speed.
Well, speed was like you can't sit on ideas. You can't sit on a plan. Yes. And whoever said that, you've got to have the step by step, but you don't need all of them. You just need the next step.
That's right.
Just go, get to it. And then there's the very literal interpretation. You've got to be the first one to make the call. You've got to call people back right away. You've got to, fulfill your promises when you've got to deliver. So that's what I said, deliver and connect was the speed thing. Because if you let things sit, nothing good happens when you let things sit. I'm sure probably 94% of the people on this call have read or heard of Mel Robbins' book, The 5-Second Rule, which is you get a good idea, you have 5 seconds before your mind will sabotage it. So you must act within those 5 seconds or it is a goner.
Yeah.
So that's speed. But I do have some ideas about endurance.
So for endurance, I'll tell you what I had, and then you can play off that. I had long-term nurture. I mean, and that is definitely for me a big one. Like endurance is about the long game. And for me, I was just thinking one of the things that in our business that we have to do is look at not just what do we have to do now, but like how does that play into our long game? And one of the things that I love that I heard another speaker say at the beginning of this pandemic was today, in the middle of this pandemic, is the time to take short, decisive action that has long-term leadership results. So you might not be able to do those big goals that you set up to accomplish at the beginning of 2020, but you can do little things over and over and over again that lead you there. And I love that Kristen said, I love Realvolve because it helps me nurture. And that's what I love about Realvolve too, is just that idea of like little things over and over and over again that let you get the long game done.
Yes, absolutely. And endurance. So if you sort of everybody in the call, think about, where you are in your career. If you are X number of years in and you've enjoyed some success, that didn't come from what you did yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That came from what you did 6 months ago or 2 years ago. I had someone call me 2 weeks ago I used to do, as part of a sort of community building thing, I used to hold dog walks once a month. And I thought this would be a great way for me to meet people in the community and get business. I didn't get shite from it. Can I say that? It's not a real swear. And then this woman calls me up. Do you remember me? My dog, Sally. And I'm like, yes, I do. And now we're shopping. We're shopping for a house. And who knew? That's endurance. In what this is. If I could make a point here that you must take home, is we are taught in the culture of real estate to go for the quick things. We're taught to, convert and make things happen fast and all this stuff. That's the message, even though all of us who have had any success in this industry understand that real estate is a long play. It is a long game. You can do anything quickly, but it's not going to last. If you want an enduring business, you've got to be spinning those plates every day. To spin, and here's one of my favorite sayings: be attached to the activity, not the outcome.
Yeah.
Just do the thing. I promise you it works. Do it every day. It will work. In fact, right now, because I had shoulder surgery recently, I lost all my arm movements. I lost my pull-ups. I lost my push-ups. And I said to my coach, I'm like, I want it back. I'm just old, right? She's like, no, you're lazy. I was like, okay. So she gave me this super boring little program where I do all these little tiny muscle works and blah, blah, blah. And don't you know, 3 months into it, 3 months of doing stupid little things that I was sure were doing nothing, and I wasn't really even as consistent as I should have been. There I am, swinging from a bar, doing pull-ups and then doing push-ups again.
So true.
Endurance.
So true. And we all have those little things. And for those of you that are jumping in comments, let me know, what are your little things? What are those tiny little things that we're like, oh, I hate to do those,
are going to contribute to your ability to endure?
For me, that is picking up the phone. It's calling people. Those are little things that I don't necessarily love to do, but always have good results. Always, right? Always, those personal touches of thanking people personally. Sometimes it's, what a big one for me this year was double checking my little tiny expenses that automatically come off my credit card for things that just automatically renew.
Subscription
and I have every quarter now I have sat down and started to look at where my money is going for my business. What business expenses did I just sign up for, and they just, thousands, I'm not kidding you, thousands of dollars saved because I've realized I don't use that tool, or I can consolidate that, or I should be using it so I can make money using it. Those little things, so important.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's talk agility, and then we're going to move on. So agility, what did you have for agility of how do we achieve that result in our business?
Agility is navigating the inevitable obstacles. You will have obstacles, you will have bad days, you will have crap that happens in your life personally. You've got to be able to navigate them efficiently. That's what agility is in business.
Yeah, agreed. I had perseverance. I had the idea of again, that consistent action over and over and keep going even when it's really hard. Because I think that's what leads us to be more agile over time, being able to sort of jump higher, do more. And in our business, it creates the ability for us to take on more business, to say no more often. I think that's all important. Okay, so let's dive into the idea of some solo agent conversations. So I know we've got people on this call, especially that are going to listen in the recording, that are going to be that are solo agents. They're not on a team. They don't have a team leader or even really sort of partners in the process. How can they create accountability plans that work in their business? What are your thoughts on this?
Stop being a solo agent. But do you know what I mean by that, though? I bet everybody thinks I don't want to join a team. You don't have to. But here's the deal. You're not good at everything. you don't even like to do everything. And there are gajillions of things that need to be done in the real estate transaction and marketing and business running process. And you just can't possibly do well at all of them, or you can't do it at a high level. You can do really well at it, but you won't achieve very much. There is a ceiling to what you can do without any help. And when I say help, you don't have to join a team or get a partner doing that, but you need to stop hoarding the dollars, because it's like, oh, no, I don't want to spend any money on tools, or, oh, I'm not going to bring a partner. Admin, I can never afford an admin. You can't afford not to. So that is my idea of what a solo agent needs to do. You have got to bring in some help.
Yeah. Like just broaden the bench, like have all of these people lined up. I love that Sarah's saying you're always on a team. You have your transaction coordinator and your lender and your photographer and your marketing person and your designer, and you have your home inspector, and you've got your termite guy, you've got everybody, and leaning on that and figuring out like where can you partner up, I think is so important. This, interesting, this is the number one question that I get from solo agents most of the time is like, I say, are you delegating? And they're saying, well, who do I delegate to? Like, who does that go to? I don't have an assistant or whatever. And I always say, like, delegation isn't the specific assigning of a task to somebody. Delegation is understanding that you need to have somebody else contribute. Maybe that's delegating ideas or thoughts or even accountability, like having somebody hold you accountable. Maybe it's delegating a conversation that needs to be had, or
the other A word, Valerie, automation, which is a dirty, dirty word for a lot of people, especially me. I'm like, no, you need to hug and kiss every individual person on the lips. And it's like, well, yes and no. There are certain things that can be automated. And at this point in sort of the world, people are accepting of things. They're like, I know that came from a bot, but I'm glad I have that information. I needed the reminder that I have a home inspection at my house tomorrow.
Yep.
And I didn't necessarily need to, shoot the breeze with Katie to find out about it. Yep. I just needed a reminder. So automating is a great way to save yourself some trouble.
I automate a ton to this. I'm not going to say
Alexa,
her name.
Play Van Morrison.
I'm not going to say her name, but I automate a ton. Like one of my big goals this year was like take my multivitamin every single day, and every single day at 8:30 she reminds me to do that. And that was a small thing, but I delegated that accountability to something else. Yes, it's a bot, it's a robot, but it keeps me accountable. And we have so many of those types of tools available to us that you're right, we do need to stop looking at that as a dirty word. I want to address the question that Teresa just put in comments. She said, I'm a new agent with a boutique agency and there's no team. And like, what are some ways that people like Teresa can create a team for herself?
Well, Teresa, is there an admin in your office? Typically the answer to that is yes. And if there is not, I will help you find a new office. But so our admin in our office is like, how can I help you? If someone says that, figure it out an answer. Figure out an answer. Every time you have just the office manager, it's all right. The office manager is someone who might be able to help you too. And if they can't, then you can go talk to another agent and say, how do you do it? What do you do? Maybe we can help each other out. Maybe there's a way that you can cooperate. They don't even need to be, now hold on to your panties, everybody. They don't even need to be in the same office.
That's right.
You can partner with an agent from another company or even another market area to help you handle, maybe share expenses for a VA or something like that. Meeting social, yes, yeah, sorry, I'm just reading comments here.
Yeah, totally.
Manager, amazing manager, and that's from my office. Yes, our manager and our admin and our marketing assistant and our regional, we have unbelievable support at our office, but you've got, there are people that you can reach out to. Sure. And I think in the next slide, we're going to talk more about.
Yeah. And Jesse's dumping some ideas here too for Teresa, like your favorite title officer, your best escrow agent, a local estate planning attorney, an investment manager, your loan officers. Those are all on your team. Also, a really great CRM can be a
Yes.
team for you. It will allow you to automate. It will allow you to, know where you're at and gauge where you're at in the process. It will tell you what it is that you need to do. And so you can go out and do it. It'll free you up. So tools can be great accountability
Oh,
plans. People
I
can
have a
be
whole
great
list.
accountability plans. So, I mean, I know a big question here always is, do I need a coach? And yeah, coaches are great, but a coach's job is not to tell you what to do. It's just to tell you to keep doing what you know you need to do. So if your problem is, I don't know what exercises I need to do, so I'm just on the treadmill. This is what, building that backbench, building that team is going to help you to do, because you're going to have all of those people that are going to help you as a solo agent. So let's talk about this from the perspective of a team. For those that are saying, okay, I don't have a team. We just gave you an understanding of the fact that you are always on a team. You have all these people. So how can teams stay on track? How do we bake this into our culture of of accountability, staying on track, knowing what we need to do, and then being motivated to actually do it?
Well, if you're considering joining a team or if you're on a team, take a long look at your leader. What's your leader's baseline for accountability for themselves?
Yeah.
Like, how do they keep their ship on track? Um, and so you want to be working with someone who is already at a healthy level, maybe even at an aspirational level, that you'd be like, wow, if I had all those pieces in place, I could really achieve too. So you want to have someone who's going to draw you up. And you have to, I mean, I don't know if it goes without saying, but you must have, I think, a weekly meeting. You've got to be getting together just to talk about even just how are you, just to physically, humanly connect with your team, because that's how the synergies happen. But then also to be like, all right, last week you were going to go out and knock on 10 doors. How did it go? And you can go back and report and say, well, I knocked on 5. It scared me to death, but I made a great connection with whatever. And that keeps you going. And if they're consistent with those meetings and the agenda that happens in those meetings, then you can lean on that structure and accountability yourself. So that's I mean, a really good, honestly, we're like, I have a mug that says I just finished a meeting that could have been an email. Like, you've got to have good meetings though.
Yeah.
They have to have
Yeah,
really
totally.
concise agendas that you can predict, and so that you can lean on it and know that you're going to get value all the time.
Yeah. No meeting
It's
soup. I always say meeting soup, like where you throw everything in the fridge in the pot and it becomes a soup.
Yeah.
Like we don't want that. The idea behind a meeting is to accomplish something, not to like meet on all the things all the time.
Yep.
We've got some good comments in here around saying teams need to stay on track by having a strong back-end support system that can constantly provide assistance. Good question here. How do you hold team members accountable? We have standards and policy. However, if they fall behind, holding them accountable could be challenging. So what are some ways that we can hold each other accountable on teams, even when, we've got standards and policies?
Well, it doesn't, there's something going on with the culture there, because they know they don't have to, and it doesn't matter if they do it or they don't. And so you got to figure out how to make it matter to them, or change your standards and policy, or take a new look at them and be like, is this really working? Because what we have and what we put into practice is not giving us the results that we want. So it just might be time to look again at that, and maybe bring your team members into the conversation. Like, hey, listen, you joined real estate, you joined this team because you wanted to do all these things. We think this is how you get there, but you're not doing any of it. What do we need? How do we need to change this? How do we need to fix this? Rather than being like, you're fired. Always check and see if the problem's with you first and your systems.
And I think a good question to ask too is, what is holding you back? Because a lot of times we think that us not accomplishing our goals is procrastination, or it's laziness, or it's, care factor. But sometimes there's an actual lack of information, need of knowledge, something they don't know that's holding them back from accomplishing it. Maybe it's just really big fear.
Yes.
So identifying what is the roadblock to actually accomplishing that stuff is, rather than just assuming. Somebody always said all procrastination is fear. And I was like, ooh, that's pretty deep, because the reality is we put off the stuff that we're afraid of. And even when it turns out to only take 5 minutes and be super, easy, if we're afraid of it, we tend to put it off.
Yeah.
But I like
Yeah.
Michelle saying like they have accountability commitments and there's repercussions. So the person who doesn't commit has to do a video.
No repercussions makes me bligas, blah blah blah. That means I was naughty. I don't like. All right, well now she's rephrased this. I like it better. So it gives an idea who's struggling. Like what you said, Val, if someone is not doing what they said they were going to do, let's find out why and how we can support them. So what is it? Is it fear? Is it the fact that you actually don't know how to use this particular app on your phone that you're supposed to be doing this task with? So interesting.
Absolutely.
All right, I think we need to keep cranking.
Let's move on. So let's talk about systems and tools. There's a long list, right? Long list. And I've put a whole bunch of them. Like everybody in the world wants to know, like, what do I need? What tools do I need? I'm going to pass this one to you. What do you think? What do people really need?
So what do they really need? First of all, you need to get a grip on how you spend your time. So you've got to have, I'll tell you a few things that I use that are my suite of tools. This is mine, what works for me. So I read the book, hang on, Free to Focus. This book, Game Changer. And I got the Full Focus Planner by the same guy, Michael Hyatt. Big time. I figured out how to look at time and look at accountability much better. I really rely on this one written piece still, but I'm very much a tech person. And I've been looking forever for a CRM that kind of took everything in, had a little bit of automation, had a lot of personalization, which is why I got Realvolve. So we do use Realvolve. I'm not a plant. I just happen to be also a customer. And there's a little bit of automation, just enough for me. There is a lot of like graphic visual stuff because I'm a very visual person. I can look and see like today I have to do this. And if I don't, there's going to be a huge backlog because look at what's coming up this week of what I have to do. And I put my own very personalized, very specific workflows in there for the way I do business. So I can't be like, oh, that's a BS task. I'm not going to do it. It's like, no, that's your BS task. And you said you were going to do it. So you better do it. And so I do that. I rely heavily on like little apps on my phone, like reminders. I have a reminder. I happen to know I've got one in here at 6 o'clock. Little things like I've got to turn the crock pot back on. I don't remember stuff like that. I'm not going to, but I've also got things like I know, so-and-so's their inheritance is coming through at the end of November. So I need to check in with them December 5th or so, because that's when they're going to be ready to make their purchase, blah, blah, blah. Like those, like just little caca reminders. And I also schedule events and I schedule classes. Like I put myself into situations just like you guys did. Like you did it. You're doing the thing that makes you accountable. Like you just got better. So you put yourself into these situations where you're going to be forced to do something, forced to sit still, forced to listen and learn, all those things. But my two big ones are my CRM, which is Realvolve, and the whole Michael Hyatt suite of things.
Love it. So I use a sticky note. This is like my favorite tool. I know, like it's so random. My favorite tool, and I've been in business for 25 years, but my favorite tool is as a pad of sticky notes. And I was taught this by my very first broker, who was amazing at, planning. I know, Hope's like, sticky note, you're crazy, Val, but bear with me.
No, it works.
Like my very first broker taught me about time blocking and business planning. And one of the things that he said was, a surgeon never goes into surgery, washes their hands, puts on their mask, puts on their gloves, walks in and goes, where are my tools? Like a surgeon always walks in and everything is laid out and prepared for them. And that is my sticky note. So every day at the end of the day, before I end my day, I write down the 3 things that I have to accomplish the next day. Now, those aren't the only 3 things I have to accomplish. Those aren't, but those are my 3 biggest priorities.
And guess what? Same thing. I do the same thing, just a different way. So that rule of 3 is good.
And so what happens is that if something else bumps something down on my to-do list, like if something else becomes more of a priority, like those 3 things are static. They stay there. And like, this is one of the things I love about Realvolve is that, like, let's say your closing date changes and you change the date, like everything from that point on gets bumped automatically. It doesn't go away. It's not like you have to manually go in and re-add it. Like, it just automatically says, okay, like everything's just 1 day later. Everything's now 2 days later. And that's like, I love the idea of just like, this is what is laid out. So in the morning I wake up, I sit down at my desk, and like, I'm not joking. Like, these are my 3 things for today. I won't show you what they are, but like, these are my 3, and it's right here, stuck in front of me every day. And at the end of the day, I have to start a new one. So I go through lots of these, but you know, it doesn't have to be complicated. You just need to have a system that keeps you on track and know what that system is. And yeah, and so those are some really important things to have. All right, so as we're wrapping up today, how do we stop doing the easy minimum? As we've got, you know, a bunch of people watching live on Facebook right now. We've got, you know, a bunch of people on here on the call. They're asking us tactically, what do I do? You know, I'm doing my business planning. I want to get off the treadmill. I need to get my business off that ongoing slog of just doing the same thing over and over again. And I want to start working all those muscles. You know, in my business, I want to have strength and flexibility and power and endurance and agility. I want to grow. What are some specific things that we can leave them with today to start working all those muscles other than what we've talked about?
Well, step number 1, you've got to make the goals, and they've got to be, you know, smart goals. So look at your goals a little differently. Stop looking just at what your volume will be and this or that. Take those 5 categories that we talked about and make a goal, a growth goal in strength, agility, flexibility, power, and endurance. That will bring you what you need to get those. Those will automatically lead to the numbers. So make your goals. And I would say this way: stop thinking about goals and start thinking about habits. Create a habit in each of these 5 areas for yourself. That would be where I would tell you to start.
I love that. Yeah, it's so true. Habits trump goals.
Yeah, absolutely. So start with you start with those habits, and then you put them out, and you do want to make measurable goals, like, but guess what? In my little planner here, they have a way to track habits where you can, keep track of how often you're getting these things done, if you're keeping to your commitments. And then you can also measure, like, because if you do those things, if you keep those habits going, you're going to get the results of numbers that you want. So track your numbers, always track your numbers. So you can see how your actions and how your habits are impacting the results. And you do not try to do it yourself. Please stop trying to freewheel this. No matter what you do, even if you, like I keep talking about my planner and Realvolve and all this stuff, it is so easy to pick up one of these tools and go whole hog for 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months, like me, and then drop it and go right back down to treadmill level. It's so easy to do that. Don't do that. Start with a realistic plan based on habits and go from there. And for me, I need short, like this thing is just by the quarter. I only make goals a quarter at a time, and then I add them up into a year. So that's as far as anybody can really make a good plan. So that's my recommendation. Make your goals and everything out for 90 days out.
Yeah. I would say that some of the ways that we can start working all those muscles, strength, flexibility, power, endurance, agility, is give ourselves scalable systems that are going to allow us to follow up with all of our people forever. That for me is a big one, because I started my list with relationships. Like, relationships are the core of my business. And I think relationships are the core of a lot of our businesses. And, for me, I want to have the ability to follow up with everybody forever and ever. Amen. I want to give them, information and encouragement and context forever and ever. And so for me, that's a big one. Like, I think that's a big one for a lot of people on this call, is just like, if I had one way to kind of work all those muscles, build their relationships, implement, adapt quickly, nurture, build that base of strength, like, is focus on your people and how do you stay in touch with them over and over and over again consistently? What can you automate? You know, how, and that is also your team of people, right? Your lenders and your vendors and all of those people that surround you. So I think that's all really, really important. That's one key way to start working all of your muscles. But the other thing is too, is set goals that are going to stretch you. I always like to say, you know, like your goals are like the elastic on underwear. Once you stretch them, like they're never going to go back the way they were. So like how can you work on stretching your goals for people that are setting their goals right now?
Underwear,
like are you setting them like so it's like I'll just get on that treadmill and do a 5, or am I pushing myself to do stuff that's really out of my comfort zone, like you were saying?
Yeah. Tighter underwear.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we're going to let people go, I just want to let you know, like, we can help you with this. You know, you are not on your own. If you have been listening to this call today and you have been thinking, I need that system. I need that system that lets me follow up with people, that lets me create an automated system in my business so things aren't falling through the cracks. I need to know where things are and where they are in the system and how things are happening and what has happened and what hasn't happened. If you need some transparency into your business and, you know, you just need some guidance and you're wondering like, how is a CRM going to help me with that? That's what Realvolve does. Realvolve workflows are the entire package that help you set a goal, set your people in there, and stay in touch with them forever and ever. Amen.
It's really that good. I have to say, like the real humans that get you started, there's a Slack channel where you could be like, oh my God, I lost this blow. I don't know where it happens now. And they're like, relax, Katie. It's the left button. It's the green one. Do this. Do that. I'm like, okay. Like,
and we've got live, you know, help desk times where you can jump on and ask your questions with a navigator and they'll walk you through it. And you can customize your workflows, like you were saying. You know, you can set them all yourself so they are yours. And so we want to help you with this. So if you are watching live on Facebook and you can screenshot this. If you're on this Zoom call, you can go to realvolve.com/demo, or you can text me, just text me RV demo, and we'll get somebody to call you and set up a demo for you. But we really want to help you. You know, this is something that you can put in place now, and it will literally help you run your business for years to come. So any last thought or advice? Hope is asking, where do we go online to check out Realvolve? Just realvolve.com. realvolve.com/demo. Got lots of love on here for Realvolve. So Katie, any last advice before we let people go and get them off the treadmill today?
Get off the treadmill. Keep it simple. Don't get too crazy. Bring in 1 or 2 tools. Stay focused.
Yeah, love that. Perfect advice. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. You guys, thank you everyone for joining us today, but thank you so much, Katie, for your time and your energy.
Thanks for having me.
I wrote down a few things today. I got some good nuggets out of today.
I sure did.
Yep. I'm gonna head into my business planning with a little more thought towards endurance. I think that's a big one for me. I took that away today.
Yeah. So, awesome. I've got plenty of work to do, actually. All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us. I will see you again next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.